Hey guys, I don't usually do a whole lot of direct to YouTube content, but I came across this position today when I was doing some puzzles, and I thought it was so interesting that it sort of merited to have a short video about it. I think it's a really cool sort of tactical sequence, and if you're a lover of the romantic era of chess, you know, like Morphy and those guys, which if you're not, why do you like chess? But if you like romantic era of chess, I think you'll really enjoy this position and a lot of the lines that sort of arise from here. So anyway, this position is white to play. I would encourage you to pause the video and think about the position for a decent amount of time and see if you can come up with the right idea here. Okay, so hopefully you guys have taken the time to figure out what's going on here, and hopefully you found the correct first move, which is already a pretty cool move, which is bishop takes e6, which is a difficult move to consider because in the starting position it looks like that bishop is pinned to the queen, and this is actually sort of how I discovered this position, is that after queen takes queen, this position was a puzzle that was given to me on Lichess, and I researched the actual game that it came from and found the starting position that I presented you with. Taking the queen is actually a blunder for black, and now white is completely winning with the following sequence. Bishop takes f7 check, seems like sort of a natural follow-up. The king has to go to d8, only legal move. Now the dark squared bishop comes in with a check. The only legal move is blocking with the queen, and you might be tempted to stop your analysis here because it looks like white is winning the black queen, and white is, but white's down a queen at the moment. So if we take the queen on c7 and the black king captures back, then black will still be up a bishop. But there's a very beautiful finish to the game right here, which is the awesome knight c6 check, taking advantage of the fact that all of the pieces that seem to be defending the c6 square are actually pinned after the move knight c6. So obviously the black queen is pinned and can't capture the knight. The black pawn is also pinned and can't capture the knight. So the only legal move is knight takes knight, and this knight was also pinned in sort of a sneaky fashion by the rook, which now can go to e8 and deliver a very cool checkmate. So black's ahead a queen and a knight, but this would be checkmate for white. Now we've only begun to scratch the surface of this initial position that I presented you with, because after bishop takes knight, queen takes queen is a huge blunder, and actually black can continue to fight in the game with the move queen takes e5. That knight was hanging. And now white's task becomes a lot more difficult because white is still down a piece, and this bishop is hanging, but white has a huge lead in development, so white's going to have to take advantage of that in very accurate fashion. The computer says there are multiple moves that are winning or give white a big advantage here, but there's one move that is clearly the best move and seems to just win tactically right away. So I would again encourage you to pause the video and try to find this move if you didn't look at this position initially. So the crushing move here is bishop d5, which is again sort of a difficult move to consider because it seems like black has enough guys and gals defending the d5 square. White's only defending it once, black's attacking it twice. But actually black will get in a lot of trouble if he takes on d5. Taking on d5 is the best move, according to the computer. So after knight takes d5, again we reach a position where you have to play very accurately and find one very strong move. The computer says only one move wins here for white. There's other moves that are equal, and everything else gives black a big advantage. So again, I'd ask you to pause the video and try to find the best move. So clearly, white's point with bishop d5 and knight d5 is that now any bishop move is going to expose this this pin on the black queen. But remember, we're still down a lot of pieces as white. We're down a knight and a bishop and a pawn, although the pawn probably doesn't matter that much. So we still have to play very accurately in order to win the game. And the only move that wins the game here is bishop c5. This is the only one of the discoveries that actually works, and it's very, very subtle why this move works and no others. So now, of course, white is pinning the black queen to the king, and the computer says the best move is queen to e6, and white, of course, continues by taking the queen, and black has a couple of options he can take with either pawn. I guess let's look at d takes first. Again, white really only has one move that wins here. There's one move that's +3, another move that's +1, and everything else is winning for black. So the winning move here is bishop takes f8, which explains why in this line we needed the bishop on c5 rather than some other discovery back in this position, so that after these moves we have bishop takes f8. Rook takes bishop just leads to the simple fork, queen c6 check, and after the king moves we pick up the rook, and now white is up a queen for 2 minor pieces, and these pawns are probably going to fall, and black's king's ridiculous. So white's not checkmating black, but white will go on to win this position. So after king takes, now white can play the move queen c5 check, and we're still kind of getting in there with our queen, and this rook is still going to be in a very vulnerable spot. So black doesn't have many options. If he blocks with the knight, this is mate in 1, so that's out. King back to d8 falls for the same fork, the same one that I showed a second ago. So king g8, and this is another position where only one move is really winning for white, and it's sort of the same idea as before, queen c6, attacking the rook, of course. And if the rook moves, the rook can't go to a7 because then the bishop is hanging with checkmate. And I'm trying to recall what happens after rook b8. Oh, queen e8 mate, that's a good move too. Yeah, so queen c6 forking the rook and this checkmate here. The checkmate has to be dealt with, of course, so the computer says the best move is bishop b7. And then, of course, we take the bishop, and material's about equal. Black has a rook, knight, and pawn for the queen, but this rook's not playing, and similar to some earlier positions, it looks like these pawns are going to be gobbled up by the white queen, and the queen is just too active. So white should win pretty handily. Okay, so now we also have to look at the move f takes e6. And this is yet another position where I'll encourage you to pause and try to find the only winning move for white. Here there's only one move that wins, and all other moves are winning for black. So you have to be very, very accurate. And hopefully now you've taken the chance to look at it. And the winning move is, well, white's not down enough material, so white should probably sacrifice more. Rook takes d5. And the computer's actually giving bishop b7 as the best move, which is sort of similar to the last line we looked at, where white will sort of just end up with a queen for a rook minor piece and pawn, but the black king's ridiculous, and the rook is trapped. So the computer's giving bishop f8, rook f8, and rook c5. And yeah, material's about equal, but probably the king's safety is going to be the biggest factor in the game from here on out. And white's pieces are very active, of course. So if black does take the rook, which seems like the most human way to try to fight, then we have queen e2 check. We've cleared this line to the black king, and we can kind of see the point now of bishop c5 in this line. The bishop is unable to block on e7 because that would just hang mate in 1. So now it's kind of just a matter of hunting down the black king, There isn't actually a forced checkmate if black plays accurately. Black can play king f7, and queen f3 and queen h5 both win, but the computer says queen h5 wins more. And essentially what we're trying to do is create another fork where we're going to pick off this rook. So like g6, which the computer says is the second, sort of tied for the best move, just allows this fork immediately, and we enter the same situation where material is about equal, but white has too much activity and black has no activity. So if instead of g6, black tries to avoid this fork, king f6, the computer is giving, is one of the best moves. And again, we sort of see why the bishop needed to remain on this diagonal, because now the bishop can give a check on d4. And again, white wants to hit with a fork if the king goes to f7. So the computer is giving king e7, and we have queen e5 check. The king can't go back to d8 because then bishop b6 is checkmate. So now the king is forced to step on this square that we were looking for, and we're going to get the fork, and we win because we have a queen and great pieces. Okay, was there another line we need to look at? Yes. So after queen h5 check, black could also play king e6, which avoids the fork, and the computer actually announces mate here. And I briefly looked at the mate, and I didn't necessarily understand all the moves, but I'll show you just for the sake of it. Queen e8 check is the most devastating move that's allowed and leads to mate. The computer says the best defense is to play bishop e7, giving away the bishop to the queen, king f5, and bishop d4 it claims is the fastest mate. And computer suggests rook f8. f3. Again, I don't claim to understand why these moves are necessarily the best, but just to show you guys what's going on here, the computer says this is the best that black can do. White gets the rook with check. Now, obviously, white's up a lot of material on top of everything, and the black king's going to get mated in the middle of the board. Now, I don't think it's necessary to see all that to justify the move queen h5 check in this position. I think if you see, you know, king e6 and queen here, that's probably sufficient to know that the black king's not gonna survive this walking up. Also walking towards these pawns that can start helping, and none of black's pieces are defending. So I think that puts a bow on all of the variations here. So let me take you back to the starting position to sort of show the best line according to the computer, and show all the calculation that is sort of necessary to play this line. Bishop takes e6, taking advantage of the fact that the queen can't be taken because bishop takes f7 is going to lead to mate. But then also seeing that after the queen takes the knight, we have this very strong move bishop d5, which I don't know if I mentioned that it also hits the rook, so we're sort of forcing black to respond to our threats. And then this amazing move bishop c5, again the only winning move. The computer says bishop g5 is a draw, and bishop f4 black is much better. So bishop c5, the only winning move. Queen e6, rook takes e6, and the computer is sort of ambivalent about which way to capture. In other lines, f takes e is often the defense, so we'll look at f takes e. And again, just sacrificing more material to get at the black king. And then here, the computer says you really shouldn't take that. It says bishop b7 is the best move. So I hope you guys enjoyed this position as much as I did. Now I'll mention again that I found this position from this moment. This was given to me as a Lee chess puzzle, and I was happy to have solved it, because, you know, when you're given this as a puzzle, this is sort of obvious, and then when they do this, it seems very natural to just take the queen and sort of move on with your life. So I was happy to have realized that there's this very beautiful mate here, which I think is probably the most aesthetic line of the position. And actually, the blitz game that this came from this is what happened. I dug into it to see, you know, what happened in the real game, and bishop takes e6 was played. These guys were 2100 blitz. This game was played in December of 2020. Black did take the queen, and white did find all of these moves. So excellent play from white. I mean, that's an incredible find if he found all that in a blitz game. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.